And the La Crosse City Planning Commission is reviewing Mayor Tim Kabat's $50 million budget proposal for 2020.
And tonight, members of the commission are discussing what changes they would like to see before the budget is approved by the Common Council. News 8's Jordan Fremstad is here to explain where the city will go after tonight's meeting.
City officials and Mayor Kabat have been revising the budget over the past several months. Now, as we get closer to November, the city is beginning to finalize their plan for capital improvements over the next 5 years.
Every year, things change. Each year, officials with the city of La Crosse have to approve a new capital budget.
And now we're at the point where we're starting to make the final adjustments and cuts.
Mayor Kabat's proposed budget totals $50.8 million for next year. More than $28 million of that is new borrowing. That includes $17.5 million for Phase 1 of the La Crosse Center, $3 million is proposed for a new North Side fire station, and nearly $8 million is set aside for buildings and grounds, capital equipment, parks, streets, and utilities. The 2020 plan repaves approximately 6.7 miles of streets. The total investment in streets, bridges, and alleys and utilities exceed $13.6 million. Other projects in the budget include $1.5 million to remodel the South Library and $400,000 for a Wygant Park shelter. Councilmember Jessica Olson says $28 million is not a large amount of money with what the city needs to fix things.
$28 million sounds like a lot, but in reality, when you're talking about the types of projects only government can do, it's not as large as it may seem.
But she says they keep a close eye on what they are spending.
It doesn't mean that we're just going to throw caution to the wind and not count our pennies and nickels and dimes and look at some of these smaller items.
Olson says some of the sources for borrowing are tax incremental finance district funding, along with general obligation bonds for larger projects. The next step is figuring out what the city should keep and cut.
It's a process of looking at our shopping cart and saying, okay, we can't max out our credit cards. We got to put a few of these things back on the shelf.
Now, after the budget is reviewed by the City Planning Commission, the Finance and Personnel Committee will review and make a decision on the proposal. The proposal will then go to the Common Council for a final review and a vote in November.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks a lot, Jordan. City officials say if you do have any questions about the budget, you can always contact your local council member.